So, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one good way of negotiating peace with the jihadists, and that is negotiating peace through strength from a place of overwhelming firepower. So, ladies and gentlemen, the vultures, the enemy forces, that swooped on Sami today in Burkina Faso. So, today, the 5th of September 2025, the JNIM elite unit. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the information we're given. The JNIM elite unit, which are comprises of basically adults, right? According to the information, they said this unit is a combination of those from Libya, those from Sudan, and, other hostile places that came together, should we call them coalition of the willing? And the gravity bomb of these forces fell on Sami. Now, Sami is a sub-province under the province of Banwa, right? And the capital of Banwa is Solenzo. Now, the aim of the, enemies is to attack Solenzo. In fact, they said they would want to take some strategic points in Solenzo. Imagine taking the capital of a particular state. The news will go extremely viral. What they are trying to do is what they did in Mali, around, I can't forget the name of that location in Mali, where they started destroying some, logistics, apparatus, and, it's like a guerrilla assault actually. But the Malians actually negotiated peace from a place of strength by neutralizing a lot of these elements. But, they came in their numbers, definitely. They came in about 150 on motorcycles. When they ride, they were shooting in the air. But unfortunately for these elements, before they got into the proper, residential areas of Sami, the troops were already waiting for them, right? And that is thanks to a very effective ISR. I'm beginning to think the AES, I think when it comes to intelligence in Africa, I think this is the era of the AES. You can't deny the AES of the fact that they have one of the most effective ISR in Africa as we speak. So, ladies and gentlemen, they were already waiting, right? And it was an operation that lasted for more than 45 minutes. Based on reports, the gun trucks swooped on them. The Burkinabe armed forces, they showed the highest level of ferocity in this operation. I mean, gone are the days where some of these elements escape with bullet wounds. Some of them could not escape with bullet wounds. Some of them surrendered. And a lot of them, they earned their seats, on the judgment throne. You know what I mean? Because according to history, God don't judge your enemy, right? You have to organize the meeting so that God could be the judge. So what the Burkinabes did today was just relentless. They destroyed the whole formation of the enemy, overran the enemy, gave a chase, destroyed their e-locks, completely destroyed the gun truck, the boats, dismantled everything, ladies and gentlemen. There was a particular guy who got hit so bad that the whole arms gave way. That was how ferocious the Burkinabes treated these guys today. Now, this particular Banwa province, the last man to lay his fingerprints, you understand, on the soil of Banwa province, showing one of the most ferocious display of effectiveness, of combat capability, was a commander of the BIR-7, Captain Watao. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately for the enemies, this was not Captain Watao today. Yeah. There is another commander called Papa Parfait Camus. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where the Burkinabés used to get this nicknames from, but it's actually making a lot of sense. Papa Parfait. The name is so nice, but ladies and gentlemen, according to the information we had, Papa Parfait is not really a nice person. You know what I mean? These are men that actually, they don't think about nothing else except combat all day. According to the information we heard, they said to work with Papa Parfait, you have to know everything that you're supposed to do. Papa Parfait is a man that continues to vet and revet and continuously vet the preparedness mentally, physically, and spiritually of his men. According to what we heard, they said to be around Papa Parfait, you have to be at alert at all time. Ladies and gentlemen, you see the eastern flank and the western flank of Burkina Faso. Let us borrow the enemies some advice. Don't attack these regions. You know, you have Panteras, you have Watao, you have Papa Parfait. Like, don't come close. These guys are, I feel like they are waiting for the fight, even before the fight presents. Now, why are the enemy forces attacking this particular region? This is one of many serious defeats that they've actually taken before in Solenzo, in Sami, in Banwa province generally. Apart from the fact that the enemies are suffering a severe damage already in Barabuli, which happens to be their biggest stronghold, right? They are trying to distract, the Burkinabe armed forces. If they are already concentrating on a particular place and every other place has peace, the Burkinabe intelligence, the defense ministry will concentrate their theater of operation. They will concentrate everything in that region. So the terrorists are trying to, let's divert the whole thing. Let's come from, sporadic angles, right? Unfortunately for the terrorists, right? All these regions, the containment team that comes into every region that has been liberated by the Burkinabe offensives, the containment team are equally as dangerous as the offensives. So this particular operation was conducted by both the Rapid Intervention Brigade. Now, they said this is just a regular Rapid Intervention Brigade, right? But under the command of, Papa Parfait, right? And the VDPs. Ladies and gentlemen, they said this is one of the units that has the largest VDP deployment in Burkina Faso. They negotiated peace from a place of overwhelming firepower. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why the enemies attacked Banwa was because of the land of Banwa. You'll be surprised. It's not mineral. No, it's not mineral. It's not uranium. It's not rare earth. It's not gold. Banwa is one of the largest agricultural hub of Burkina Faso. The land of Banwa. Planting on the land of Banwa is like planting on liquid gold. The yield will be unimaginable. So, according to the bigger plan of the enemy is to, economically cripple, the Burkinabes. Why are they trying to cripple the economy of Burkina Faso? Remember, Burkina Faso has a strategic allegiance or alliance with a certain superpower, a nuclear superpower, which I will mention. So, upon the whole sanction, right, which is expected to cripple that superpower, they continue to advance on all fronts, in what I call the Third World War, and what the enemies are trying to do is to make sure they paralyze whichever ally they have, economically, in terms of security. They've tried all, at all costs, because the economy of the enemies too has entered a watery grave. So part of the plan is to arrest some key positions in both, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Recently, there were some elements in Mali that actually declared that so logistic route should not be used. They even made a warning that all foreign companies, should evacuate certain locations. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not these elements that are speaking. It is the people that are sponsoring them that are actually speaking through them. So they are now waging both, the warfare on this side and the economic warfare. But it's not working at the end of the day. And what is getting them even hungrier is the fact that, the AES states continue to bring in military equipment by the day. And this is not going to be pleasing to the military industrial complexes of these enemy, nations. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Right now, let's not forget, right? In Mali today, in the Tessalit region, the enemy actually prepared an ambush. The conventional warfare. We know who. See, look, we don't have to even be calling JNIM. No, if you really, really understand who the Sahelian states are fighting, definitely then you are seeing the bigger picture, right? They attacked with an FPV drone. And this was not no regular FPV drone. It was a giant FPV drone carrying a lot of explosive. But ladies and gentlemen, the job was very fast. It was shot down by the Malian armed forces. And according to what we heard, several drones at the same time were recovered through jamming. They fell and they didn't explode. The Malians actually, picked everything. And after they checked these drones, you won't believe what they found. They found some Ukrainian components in the body of the drone. You already know who is propping the enemy weapons, who is rechipping, because after, the bigger NATO, EU, after they say, we are giving social donation, this equipment gets sent to Africa through, Mauritania and into, so ladies and gentlemen, the enemies are trying to stop this shine. But I won't lie to you. I think the representative of the unipolar world order in Africa is suffering a big humiliation right now. This is a big humiliation, so big to the point that they cannot believe that this is happening before their very eyes. You see, ECOWAS, whatever organization you have in Africa, it's part of the unipolar world order. They are just the clerks that serve the interests of the unipolarity. You see, the ICC, you see the United Nations Security Council, the United Nations Organization, whatever organization, and the NGOs, they are representatives of the unipolar world order, which is championed by the United States in different cloaks. They are like coats of many colors. But at the end of the day, if you put everything together, a coat is still a coat. A lizard in America will not become an alligator in Mali. The same yesterday, today, and forever. That is who they are. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, they continue to fund this war in the Sahel because this is war. They are waging war on the Sahel, and they continue to use their propaganda media. That is another thing you should take note of, to lie to the people in the West. If not for the information that we're getting from the front line and bringing to you people, I imagine how much garbage those people are ready to sell to you. And you know the funny aspect? Our channel always face different battery from different side because we tell the truth. But let me tell you something that you shouldn't be surprised about. Why is it that whenever the enemies of the Sahel cook up a lie,
what news should we give them about the Russian soldiers?
Write 70.
No, write 200. There's nothing to feel sorry for them.
Give you this propaganda news, 50, they tell you 50 troops were neutralized, 100 were neutralized. When they give out this propaganda, the views go to 100,000 and all of that. No, they don't want you to know that the alliance of Sahel States is doing something reasonable without them. That's it. And the multipolar world order is showing now that, look, we are not waging war against these people. No, we don't need to wage war against them. But we want to show them that, look, we can actually help ourselves. We can actually collaborate and work together without war. But the only way we'll do that is by connecting with ourselves, unifying, forming a unified front, and isolating the hostile neighbors. We are here. We've arrived. We're not waging war, but we don't need you. Algeria, Mauritania, they cannot believe that the AES is now continuing to grow its GDP, its economy, its military, its education, its core values, like everything is developing. Remember, there is some extent of jealousy to this. Let me tell you something. The second poorest country in Africa, right? Suddenly becoming the global headline. No. There's a little bit of jealousy, there is spite, there is agenda, there is everything. But ladies and gentlemen, homeland or death, the AES is continuing to prevail. And let me tell you something. ECOWAS is the old order. The AES is the new order. And look, the new order will not come up by telling lies or something. No, the new Pan-African order is the AES. Either they like it or not, the AES has come to stay. Ladies and gentlemen, you can give me your opinion in the comment section below. It's your boy 7200 signing out and upset. But before I go, there is something going on in Ghana. We have the full story of the situation going on in Ghana that has led to displacement, And if you see what they are fighting on, a very small piece of land that was sold by some elements that lack discretion to some developers. Now, it's a lot, but we'll get to that in our next video. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you love this video and we hope we've been able to serve you. Yeah, thank you for watching and God bless you as always. Salute.